Coming up on this season preview, powered by PointsBet, we are up to the Gold Coast Suns. We are all in on the Gold Coast Suns this year. We are Gold Coast members, Shaq and Kobe, Jed Walter and Bailey Humphrey. I'm so excited for the Suns this year, Das.
Jed, we can't wait. I've got the Suns jersey on right here. Guys, you know where to find us at 100K Sports. Like and subscribe. You guys can find us on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. Guys, share to as many Suns fans or just footy fans. It really helps out the show.
We are the Suns of the Gold Coast sky. Good work, Dad. Welcome back to the 100K season previews for the season 2025. This podcast is powered by PointsBet. We are up to the Gold Coast Suns. And it looks like I'm on me lonesome. Das, you there?
Oh, I'm here, Jimmy. We got the Gold Coast kid on. Let's go, the Suns.
He's got the full shorts and buddy jumper on. Das in the full Gold Coast kid. He's on the Gold Coast Suns bandwagon this year. So am I. Let's get into the Suns, Das. I'm excited. How'd they go last year?
Jev, can we do mention as well that we are members?
We are members of the Suns this year.
We do love the Suns, and this is the year we hope that they break into the 8. So, Jev, a little bit up and down. Wait 1 sec. My audio's still fine? Yes, wait. So, Jev, a little bit of an up and down year. So, we always want to start. So this has to be the year, Jev, that they push into the 8. So it looks like they've got the list, they've got the coach now. So we're really excited to see where they go. So we always start with competition A graders. So who did you have for the Suns? I found this one a little bit difficult as well. There's obviously a couple clear, or there's one definite clear cut, but who did you have as competition A graders?
Yeah, only the one for me, Das. And I went through my notes last year and I basically just copied and pasted. Noah Anderson is the only competition A grader for me, Das. Just the one. I had him as a sole competition A grader last year, and I'm doing it again this year. He averaged 29 disposals and kicked 13 goals in 2024. If he can turn that 13 goals into 24 goals, 25 goals, basically won a game, he's going to be an absolute problem this year. I think he's a stud. I think he's up there with a lot of guys. I'm going to go Noah Anderson as a competition A grader, Das. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Last year I had Took as well, who came off a really good, I think came third in the Brownlow, but he had a bit of a dip year, a little bit injured. So, yeah, I've just got Noah Anderson. And I mentioned, I think in the Collingwood pod, if he was a Victorian, we'd be talking about him like he's one of the best players in the comp. He's a finisher. He had 8 30-1 games last year, Jev. He had 8. Some of those include in that, so 30-1's the floor. Couple of them include like a 33-2 and a 42-2 game. He's an absolute machine. He really steps up in the clutch. And I just feel like some of the players can't go along with him. Like he has these awesome games, but they just get done in the end. And it just doesn't, like if they win that, he's back page and front page of the paper in Queensland. It's like Noah Anderson does it again. Like he does what he can, but the rest of the team just hasn't been able to come across with him to finish off the game. So it looks like that even if you listen to Took Miller yesterday, it was on SEN, they're like, how's the gameplay going with Dimmer? And he said last year we literally had to have name tags on and like certain spots so people knew what positions to run. He's like, now it's our second year in the system. We all know what we're doing a little bit more. So it seems like the team's going to come along the journey a little bit more this year, and it's not just going to be Noah, but Jev, I agree. I think the one competition A grader is Noah Anderson. The next one's a bit of a funny one. Who do you have as position A graders?
This is a tough one when it comes to the Suns, isn't it, Das? So I'm going to start with Matt Rao.
Yep.
As an A grader at what he does and what he's the best in the comp at doing, and that's just been absolutely brutal on the field. Head in the casserole, tackling hard, winning the ball. Now he needs to add a touch of class to his game. But when it comes to contested footy and it's 50-50 on who wins it, he is an A grader in the competition at that. His tackling is elite. He has games where he has 15, 16 tackles. I'm going to call him a position A grader at just being a brutal midfielder, someone who complements Noah Anderson so well. Do you have Matt Rao in there? Who you got? I still got a couple more, but you go.
Yeah, I got Matt Rao. I think we both we got to put Ben King in there. He'll walk into most forward lines. I think he's fourth favourite to win the Coleman as it is. Yeah, he'll walk into most sides and start as a key forward. Like if any of these guys, key forwards, key backs go on the market, they just play. I thought he still had a pretty good year. I still like the potential of him. I think we'd probably agree. Would you rather Ben or Max? I think I'd lean Ben.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, so I've still got
up.
him in because I think any other side, like Bombers would love to have him.
Yeah,
like North would love to have him next to Larky as well. So I still got him as a position A grader.
I did. Yeah, I didn't. But when you put it that way, if he hit free agency, he'd get 1.2 a year over 5 years, probably. Like they don't grow on trees, guys like him. Das, I have to go Mac Andrews.
Yep.
He's now paid like a competition A grader. I just think he's a dead set stud. And whether it's in defense or in the forward line, he's just going to be so, so good this year. I cannot wait to watch him. This is a bit of a projection, but the contract he just got, the Suns know what they've got in him, and I just cannot wait to watch him for the full year. So I'm going Mac Andrews in there. You?
Yeah, I had him in 100%. Like he'll be any position on the field. When I went by myself last year and I watched Suns Carlton, I messaged the group straight away. I said, Mac Andrews is going to be a top 5 player in the comp in the next 3. Every time he was on Charlie couldn't get near it. And then when he went off him, Charlie ended up kicking like 5 or 6 goals.
Won the game. They had to put Andrew in the ruck. I remember it. Yeah.
His close down speed, he's like just aerial awareness. He knows when to spoil. Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's like, I think you said he's like a Kevin Durant in like the AFL, but Slim defensive wise, like he's just awesome. And then he's got that gene forward, Jeff. He went forward and kicked the goal. So he loves the moment. So yeah, he has everything to say that he'll be a top 5 player in the AFL.
I cannot wait to watch
I've got one. I'm predicting. I've got a prediction that Sam Flanders at the end of the year will be an all usage, all purpose player. He just seems like he can go forward and kick goals, backline. I reckon if the Suns have a really good season, his magnet, Dimmer, it will be one of his favourite magnets. He'll fling it forward, fling it back, put in the midfield, and by the end of the year, we'll be like, this guy's just an all-purpose, all-utility player. Like, you just plays him on all different sides of the ball. So I'm predicting he's going to have a really, really good season. From all accounts, it looks like he's running the house down. He was never a good runner, and now he wins all their time trials. And Stewie Jew hated him. He just wouldn't play him. And I just like the way that he's going about it. So I'm predicting Sam Flanders at the end of the season. It's just he's a plug and play. If they need him down back, he can. So, yeah, here's a little bit of prediction A grader.
This is my notes. I don't want to overrate him, but I think he's going to be a problem this year, and that's Sam Flanders. I reckon he's in for a huge year. I agree. Whether he's proved that he's a position A grader or not yet, he probably hasn't. But if we're predicting and we're doing our Gold Coast preview this year, I'm going Sam Flanders as well, Das. I cannot wait to watch how they use him this year. He feels like he's going to play at half forward, run around a bit, and like sort of be on his own position. He can get up to stoppages. He can be around. He's got class. He can run all day. He's a beautiful kick. He's going to add a couple of goals. We saw him at the end of last year when he played that half forward role. He was a freak. He was having like 30 in 3 games. So I'm all in with Sam Flanders with you, Das. As Gold Coast members, we might even get Sam Flanders' number on the back of our jumper. And then one other one, Das. If Dan Rioli has the same season off halfback like he did for the Tigers last year, he's bloody close to a competition A-grade halfback flanker. He's a really good footballer. He's a good use of the ball. Yes, he played in a crappy side last year, but he was fantastic for the Tigers last year. So they've got a gem there, the Suns at halfback. Maybe just that tier below competition A or position A-grader, but he's still a good player. I can't wait to watch him off the halfback line for the Suns, Das.
Yeah, 100%. We'll get into him a little bit later. One I actually did write down as well, and I will say it. He's like getting older now, but Jared Witts has been an A-grade ruckman for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
He's so good. He's tough. We just don't hear about him enough because he's up there. He was a captain for a while. Like he's unbelievable. He's
plays
so
injured,
tough.
plays through pain for the Suns.
So I just wanted to mention Jared Witts as well. I had him written down. I think he's fantastic.
Next one is notable role players, Das. I'm going to let you go first on this one because I've sort of rolled notable role players, young guns into the same sort of question here. So I'm going to let you go first on notable role players, Darcy. You go for it.
Yeah, Morgs' man Skinfolds Ainsworth. He's a role player. Bodie Hewland, they got him in, young gun, but he's also a role player. But they've traded for one of the ultimate role players, Jev, Johnny Noble. And there'll be one very upset Collingwood fan this year. Every year, me and you go to the round 2. It's Collingwood and Port. There was a guy pipes out in just the Johnny Noble. So it must have either been well ordered or it's the last one on the rack. It was like the printed number on the jersey. So they've got John Noble, Jev, and I think that I'll get into him a little bit more later, but he's an awesome role player. They don't need him to be too much, defend, try and use the ball well. But yeah, I'll get into that a little bit more. Who have you mentioned? Who do you want to chat about, and like how do they go in with the young guns?
Yeah, so Dust, I reckon Dimmer is building a team to look a lot like Richmond in a way, but also completely different. But the fucking Tigers won a premiership with Jason Castagna, a young Dan Rioli, Jack Higgins, Jacob Townsend, Dan Butler in the forward line. Like, these guys are just, average footballers, good average footballers, but they just worked in that Richmond way, and I reckon Dimmer knows that. So this is the forward line the Suns are going to basically trot out this year. They're going to have Ben King, who was picked 6 in the draft. He's played about 100 games now. Jed Walter, pick 3 last year. Sky's the absolute limit for this guy. I cannot wait to watch him. Bailey Humphrey, our man, pick 6 in the draft. Can he have, all right, this is a bit later, can he be the Jordan De Goey of the Pies? Can he have a Jordan De Goey type impact at the Suns this year? Sam Flanders is going to play that sort of half-forward roaming role. Pick 11 of the draft. Then they had Jake Rogers, pick 14. Leo Lombard that they took this year, pick 9. In a forward line this year, it's so much high-end blue chip talent, and then all Leo Lombard and Jake Rogers have to do in that forward line is put on manic pressure like Castagna and Rioli and Butler used to have to do, but they've got that high-end talent. I just can't wait to watch this forward line come together. Our man Bailey Humphrey, 6'2", 90-odd kilos, runs a 6.25 2K. Is it fair to say the Bear could have a Jordan De Goey type impact this year? He's done a full preseason. He's training the house down. I reckon he can be anything this year, Darcy, and I know you agree with me on that. And then Sam Flanders will be gut running, rolling up to stoppages, getting the ball in dangerous positions. High-end player. Can he be the Shane Edwards of the Tigers? The classiness, the finish, the help the team where they need help, do what the team needs. And then if Ben King and Jed Walter can both go through the natural progression like any young forward or any gun forward line, just the sky is the limit for this forward line at the Suns this year. I'm so excited to watch them play. We know they've got Rowell and Anderson. They've got Took in there. I talk about it a bit more in depth. But if their forward line is going to be basically those 6 guys with a few other guys rolling through, I just think they can be absolutely anything in that forward line this year, Das. You?
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. And when you look at Rowell Anderson coming into almost their prime, the young guys, I'd written down. So you got obviously Bailey Humphrey, Jed Walter, Ethan Reed, Jake Rogers, Leo Lombard, Sam Closeley, Bodie Hewland, and Will Powell is still only 25.
Yeah.
He's a really good player. So they've got everything that they need. And if these guys can stick together for another 2 or 3 years, well, it's not even that. So it's like you look at, they pretty much didn't lose at home, won 1 game away. If they win 4 games away,
yes,
they're playing finals. So it's so close. Like when you look at like margins. So I'm so excited to see how they go. Is there anything you wanted to touch on with the depth?
Yeah, so I'm looking at their midfield, as I sort of just said. So you've got Anderson and Rowell. Randerson and Owl.
That's not bad. Randerson and Owl.
Anderson and Rowell as their 1 and 2. Everyone in the comp knows they're the 1 and 2. They train like they're the top 2 players, the top 2 duo in the league, but they might not be yet. But then you've still got Took. You've got Sam Closeley, who had a great first year last year. Dave Swallow, Lockie Weller, Will Powell, Alex Davies, these guys who we like, that it all goes how Rowell and Anderson go. So if they're as good as we want them to be this year, I think they turn 25 this year. They're just going to be really good with a nice deep midfield of just guys who are good footballers. And then in their defense stars, they've got Sam Collins, Charlie Ballard, and Mac Andrews as their guys. They're key guys that are going to be in that defense this year. But then they've added Dan Rioli, John Noble back there, who both love the ball in their hand, played in successful teams. I reckon they're going to look so different this year, the way they move the ball. If they can hold up in defense, they're going to fly off their half-back line with Noble and Dan Rioli. Dan Rioli's obviously a premiership player. Noble got dropped for the grand final, but he's still a good footballer that loves the footy in his hand. So, yeah, I just like what I see from the Suns this year. Darcy, you?
Yeah, 100%. So I think they've put a lot of work into their perimeters. So that's kicks exiting D50 and kicks entering D50.
Yeah.
Because they were the worst inside 50 comp in the AFL. So that's why there was a lot of the talks of maybe Dusty comes down, only plays home games, and they just get some entries in because they can actually move the ball pretty well, but it's just either they get a lot of turnovers as soon as they're leaving 50 or coming in. So I think they've shored up their back line a lot more, as you mentioned. So they've got John Noble, Dan Rioli. So exiting D50, fantastic. That's a big tick.
Yep.
So the entries where we need to look at now is, are we now ready to give the keys to Jake Rogers for that role?
Yep.
Because it looked like last year he was quick coming in, almost that Brian Myers role. So as I mentioned in the Geelong pod. So maybe are we going to be seeing more players adapt the Brian Myers role where they don't have to kick a million goals, but we just need you to get front and center and just give our forwards the best opportunity. Looking at their potential starting lineup for this year, they think Touk might play a little bit more half forward. Yep. He's not bad at coming inside 50, and as well, you know that he can run and get back all the way to the back line as well. So it looks like our man Bear as well, Jev, Bailey Humphrey, from some of the clips, it looks like he's up the ground a little bit more as well. And so he's got a massive penetrating kick. So I think that I'm definitely ticked off their back line, kicks exiting, but I just think they need one or two more people. We need Noah Anderson to fix up his kicking a little bit. We need Matt Rao, because sometimes he's going ahead of steam and just pops it over the back of King. So, massive tick on the D50, but definitely it looks like the Suns' depth around the perimeters, that's where we really want to see them. And if they can polish that up, they're going to be a very scary side.
And fucking Ben King better go 70% on set shots this year. There's nothing that shits me more watching the Suns when they do the hard work. Ben King takes a nice mark and he goes back and fucking misses Das. It does my head in because you know how good they can be. And when he's flying, I put him in my pyramid last year. He had an absolute prime, like 5 games last year. He was on fire. Then he just lets himself down and it's so frustrating. So, yeah, there's so much to look forward to with their depth, the way they've changed their list up a bit, the way they've fixed their list and what their best 22 is going to look like. That, as we said, that Sam Cloese, whatever his name is, on the wing is going to be such a good link player for him for a long time. So, yeah, it is exciting. Dark Horse All-Australian is our next question. Who have you got as your Dark Horse All-Australian, Das?
For us, Ben King was a whack-a-mole in your pyramid. He came up and he went down so bloody quick.
Like, it's when, remember they had that game against North under the lid at Marvel the week I brought him in when he was in absolute form and then he was on 0 possessions at halftime. I'm like, that's why we call him the King Sisters, Das. No. That's why we call him the King Sisters.
We mentioned him before, Jev. These are my notes from last year as a Dark Horse All-Australian. So this is last year. I wanted to compare this guy's size to Toby Green. So Toby Green's 182 centimetres, 85 kilos. Very similar to our man Bailey Humphrey, who at the time was 186 centimetres, 86 kilos. Yep. I think Bailey might need another 2 years, but he has potential. His best 4-game stretch 2 years ago was like 20-1, 26-1, 19-1, 17-2. I'm pretty sure they were all up at the territory. But let's have a look at it, Jeb. He's about 94 kilos at the moment, is he not?
Fucking huge.
So last year when we did the season preview, I said he was 86 kilos. I feel there's always 1 or 2 spots in the All-Australian for this type of player, and maybe Dimmer can get him to play that Dustin Martin role. Those were the notes from last year. 100%, that is the sort of player that he can become. He looks like he's absolutely fired up and ready to go. Obviously, it's pretty well known that we're sort of mates with him now. We do like our man, the Bear. He's paid a nation 71-1, but this is an absolute joke.
Yeah, but sorry.
Bailey Humphrey for All-Australian, there's no market yet on PointsBet. So we're gonna have to have a chat to him. We will get onto that because this has to be, give us 26-1. If there's no market for him, there's other people there at 34-1. Give us 41-1 for the Bear because he could have an all-time season.
Yeah, I've legit got the exact same notes. And the reason we are mates with him is because we fucking love the way he played footy and he just happened to recognise us and he's such a good kid. as like you said, the Dustin Martin role. I've said the Jordan De Goey. Like, I just feel like this is the year we're going to see some serious games impacted by our man Bailey Humphrey and Dust. So I had the same. What is he paying on PointsBet to make All-Australian? You can't actually get him, and it pissed me off. But if they're going to be as good as I think they are, Dust, I just love Noah Anderson at $5. $5 to make All-Australian on PointsBet. I just love him. I can't wait to watch him play. So I'm going to, Noah Anderson is my one for you from Dark Horse All-Australian. Coach Captain up next, Dars. What have you got on Coach Captain?
Well, we think Dimmer's the perfect spot. I think an established coach has to go to one of these sides that's been chipping away. So even when Tassie come in, I think we've spoke like, I don't want a green coach. I don't want like a Nathan Buckley. Like, if, as you said, John Longmire's there. If Chris Scott's there, I want someone that's established to actually take over one of these sides. I think Dimmer's perfect for this. I think the way that he plays the game and he gets so many role players involved is unbelievable. I think the fact that Witts and Touk, is Witts still or is Touk the standalone? I'm pretty sure Witts is still captain as well.
I think it's Witts and Touk, yeah.
They had perfect for this team. They had to have two guys that have been eating it on the shins for a few years. David Swallow is a little bit older now, so I think they're perfect. Touk obviously pushes the standards. Apparently he's one of the hardest trainers every year, whether he's getting involved in MMA or doing Ironmans. He works with the neutral grain guys, like just doing these triathlons and boards. So I think he sets the standard. Every time you hear him speak, he speaks really well. And I do like the fact you got a ruckman. He seems real tough nose, like a Kieran Briggs, a Shane Mumford sort of guy. Like he's tough as.
Yeah.
He'd be one of those guys like Mickey Meyer, Jev, to us at preseason camp. He just tries to take your head off. You know, he's a bit rough around the edges. So I think as a leadership standpoint, that's perfect. But it's almost time to come into it where we almost get a Noah Anderson. Like his next contract, it's like, here, this is your team. We're all ready to follow you now. So I like it. I think they're heading in the right direction. You can't bash a team that's still trying to make their way through, because when it does shine, then you're like, oh, it's the perfect combination. So, I think the natural progression is probably Anderson to come up. I think Dimmer's really going to enjoy the next few years up on the Gold Coast. What about you?
It's like we've copy and pasted each other's notes, Dust. So the captains are Touk and Jared Witts. I actually think they're the right guys to lead the club. They bleed Gold Coast Suns. They love the club. They've gone through the shit. They're the perfect old heads to lead the young guys, lead this footy club. I wouldn't change it this year. I agree with you. It feels like it's going to be Noah Anderson's team eventually. I would not change it this year. It feels like they are the right guys, Jared Witts, Touk Miller, and then the coach. I'm super excited for this year for Dimmer. No more fucking around. No more pissing on the porch. It's fucking time. And everything we're hearing is he's training them to the fucking bone. If you want to go listen to how hard they train, go listen to my episode with Bailey Humphrey. He trains them hard. They've got that. So they do a full, if you haven't listened to Bailey, they do a full session, a full 2-hour session. They go in, they have lunch, they chill out. Then they come back out and it's called Fight Like Fuck. And they wrestle and they do burpees and they fight each other for 25 more minutes, where there's no more quitting in the Suns. There's no more like, oh, I'm tired, like I'm going to give up. Nah, it's fight like fuck. You compete with your mates. I can't wait for this year from Dimmer Dust. I reckon the pressure's going to be on him and he's going to thrive. This is the year. This is the reason he took this job and left the Tigers. Like this year, what he gets at the Gold Coast Suns, he's already had the 1 year. He knows the list now. He's fixed his list. Like it is time for the Gold Coast Suns. This is the year.
Yeah, Jeb, I'm excited. If it's not top 8 this year, it's next year. You feel like it has to. And I said early in the piece, I'm sick of betting on like projection and be like, oh no, we got to get on the Suns this year. I said until I see it, I'm not going to bet on it.
Yep.
But we're members now, Jev.
Yeah, we are members.
Whether
I guarantee grand final tickets.
Whether I actually believe they're going to make the 8 or not, which I probably don't think that they will, but I would still bet on them to make the 8, Jev, because we're members and we are loyal. So let's get into the schedule. Fox Footy, they give out the rankings of depending on where you finished last year. If this is your first pod that you've listened to. So number 1's the easiest ranked schedule. Number 18 is the hardest, Jev. They've got the 5th ranked schedule. There's a few games early that I absolutely love. I think they can get off to an absolute flyer. Their first 6 rounds, they can set up their season. Have you had a look at it, or do you want me to roll through it?
Nah. Das, this is my notes. Das, I fucking love their early fixture. Is there a world they can be 6-0 this year? Is there a world they can be 6-0? So, yeah, let's go. Bombers in Gold Coast. Win.
Tick.
Eagles in Perth, tough. They lost this game last year. It'll be Eagles' first home game, but still, they can win that game. Tick. Melbourne at the G on a Saturday Arvo 120. We're going to fucking be there. If they're going to be legit this year, they go and win that game. I'm so excited to watch that game. Melbourne at the G on a Saturday Arvo, round 3. Let's give them a win. Then they've got Crows in Gold Coast, tick. North at Gather Round, tick. Richmond at Marvel, tick. There is a world they can be 6-0. Hopefully they start 4-2 minimum. They can't be 3-3. So I absolutely love that early fixture, Das. Do you agree?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They have to start strong, and it looks like they've had the good preseason. This Gold Coast have to be a team where they have to set it up. They can't be playing finals from round 11. Like, they just can't. But the good thing is they get the Hawks in in Darwin, which is good. Like, if you're going to get them, they got the Dogs up in Darwin as well. So we know that the best bet in sports is Bailey Humphrey in the Territory. Like, he does his best work there.
The Suns to kick a fuel price in Darwin. It's $1.67.7 for Territory right now, for petrol right now, does. That is what the Suns will kick, 167 points. It's like we've copied each other's notes. So after that 6-0 start, or those 6 games, Swans and Lions, that'll be tough. So round 7 and 8, it's the Swans and Lions. But then they go to Darwin for 2 weeks where they're just unbeatable, and it's against the Hawks and the Dogs. If you asked any Suns fans, you have to beat the Hawks and the Dogs this year to make the 8. Where do you want to play them? They'll go, bring them to Darwin, boys. Bring them to Darwin. Can't wait. I am so bullish on them going 2-0 those weeks over 2 teams that we've both probably gotten the 8. So, yeah, I love their schedule, the way it pans out. It's a mix of tough, but they play teams at the right time. They get a bit of an early start. If they're 6-0, then they go 2-0 against the Hawks and the Dogs, as we said. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And then hopefully by then they've got a pretty good standing on to their last 4 games. So they've got the Tigers up at home. And then I just feel they have to beat one of these last 3 sides. They've either got to get the Blues at Marvel. They've got to try and get us there.
Yep.
They've got to either the Blues, the Giants, or Port last game of the year at Adelaide Oval. So I think if they can pinch, they've got to pinch one of those 3 games, and they could have a finals berth. But we know how close the competition is. Yep. You can't be beating good sides and then losing to the shit sides and then playing down. That's what the Bulldogs do every year. They play the best against Freo, the Swans, and then they lose to West Coast and Richmond the last 2 games of the year. So they just have to be consistent. They have to get the runs on the board early. But I'm pretty bullish on them as well, Jev. Do you have anyone in the gun?
Our man Jed Walter. I'm putting him in the gun, Das. Our man Jed Walter. I just want to see him play 20-plus games this year, start having 4 to 5 shots at goal a week and making everything and just marking everything that comes his way. Kick 40-plus goals. I believe in him so much. I see Charlie Curnow in him. I can't wait to watch him this year. And then I'm calling him and Bailey Humphrey Shaq and Kobe. They're going to be the Shaq and Kobe of the AFL, and there was no one more dominant than Shaq. It starts this year for Jed Walter. He starts to learn how dominant he can be at this level with Bailey Humphrey by his side. Shaq and Kobe is going to click. Who's going to say it first? Channel 7, SEN, or Fox Footy? Who's going to make the graph first? Because I've already said it, and watch it click on. Shaq and Kobe, Jed and Bailey. I cannot wait to watch our man Jed Walter play, Das.
Yeah, Jev, I got him in the gun as well. 195 centimetres and 105 kilos.
Huge. It's all the fucking big butt he's got.
You know when you said you see Charlie Curnow, he's a combination of Charlie Curnow and Tom Hawkins with a tan and fresh teeth. Yeah. Like, that's who he is. So I'm excited as well. I put the moz on him against the Blues last year. As I said, I went there and said, hey, mate, can't wait to watch you today. Good luck. I think he had a kick and got subbed off in the second quarter. Like, just couldn't find it in the esky. So, as you said, I want to see him play all games. We saw him at Gather Round.
He was amazing.
He was the glutes on him. And
up close, he's a freak athlete.
The athleticism. Him and Barras were probably 2 of the biggest humans I've ever seen live.
Oh, yeah. They were big. And Turk on the radio yesterday says, like, when Jed flies and gets his hands to stuff, like, he's starting to look so good. So it's all I want to see. When it gets kicked his way, he flies at it and he just starts clunking everything, goes back and kicks him, starts dominating games. There is no way he can be 1 goal, 7 touches and subbed off this year. Nah, it's got to be 6 marks, 2 goals, 3, like 14 touches. Like he's got to start dominating that forward line, Das. The best bet on the board for the Gold Coast Suns. So to win the premiership, they're 41 to 1. To make the grand final, $21. Minor premiership, $41. To make the top 4, they're $10. To make the top 8, they're $3.50. Least wins 34. We are not touching. Das, what's your best bet on the Suns?
It's Noah Anderson, All Australian at $5.
Yes.
That is my best bet on the board. I've mentioned it a million times. If he was a Victorian, we'd be talking about him as one of the best players in the AFL. You look at his stats, but not even stats, because I know a lot when people like spit out stats, but you got to watch the way he plays. He rips the ball out of contest. He can be inside and then he can play outside. The amount of times that a ball's come down 1-2 touch and he's just streaming away from a contest and then he just punishes the ball inside forward 50. I just think if we look at all the best players over the last like 15 years, pretty much all of them have a jacket, do they not? Like Jacob Wiedering was one of the last ones I think we can tick off. Like I can't really think of anyone else. I don't think like Bailey Smith doesn't really deserve one yet. Like, I don't think he's had an All-Australian year. Dacos has. Goulden has. Like, I don't know. There's just not many other, unless if I'm missing someone off the top of my head. If they're that good of an All-Australian, they just get one. So I just think Noah Anderson, especially if they make the top 8, it's all set up for him. $5 I think is actually a pretty good price. What about you?
I want to take the $3.50 for them to make the 8 so badly. But I just think they're going to be just outside looking in. I still think their team's slightly better than them. I just reckon like 9th. I don't know. I still think it's worth a dabble, the $3.50. But yeah, there's another bet we'll get to in a minute. What is their floor of wins this year, Das? What is their floor?
I think 10 wins. I think if they pretty much go undefeated at home like they do every other, or like they did last year, they've got 2 good teams playing up in Darwin that I think that they get those games. And if they can get just like another win elsewhere, I think 10 wins. If they're not double-digit wins, like I'm not saying Dimmer's getting fired, but he's like trouble. There's going to be a lot of questions. It's going to be like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So I think 10. What about you?
Yeah, I wrote down they won 11 games last year. Surely they can't go backwards. Like their floor has to be 10 wins, basically. That has to be their floor. That gets us to their ceiling. What is their ceiling?
I wrote 14 max, I think, if I'm being honest. I don't think they're pushing 50. I think one game inside the 8, potentially, maybe 14 gets you in. Like I just don't see them winning more than 14 games when I look at this schedule. What about you?
Yeah, can they be a 12, 13, 14 win team? Can they really take the leap? Can they be last year's Hawthorn? Like, please, we all want to see it. Can they be last year's Hawthorn? So I agree. Where I think their floor is 10, I wouldn't have their ceiling anything over sort of 13, 14 games. But, geez, I hope it is. And I hope if these young guys do get a bit of confidence, like Leo Lombard and Jake Rogers don't have the Gold Coast demons in their closet. Like if they do get hot and the young guys build a bit of confidence and they turn into the Ginnivan and the Wiz, and it's like, have fun coming up to the Gold Coast, boys. Come watch us kick fucking 5 goals every time we touch the ball. We've got Jordan De Goey here and Bailey Humphrey. Like, can they build a bit of an aura around them where they're just full of confidence? Jed Walters marking everything. Like, just a young, dumb arrogance and confidence. I hope they do. That gets us to our over-under. 10.5 is the over-under, Das. I am smashing the over. I'm all in. This is actually the best bet in the board. Gold Coast over 10.5. It's a mix of natural progression, second-year Dimmer Hardwick, the home ground advantage and the Darwin advantage, and our love for Shaq and Kobe. I can feel it being so, so special this year. Gold Coast over 10.5. I absolutely love Das. What about you?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Jev. I think the line is 1 under. I think this line probably should have been 11.5.
And that would have been an impossible bet, I feel like. Like such a hard bet, but with 10.5.
Yeah, there's a few lines that they've given us an extra game. Fremantle was one. Feel that line should have been 13.5. So they gave us 12. This is 10.5. I feel that they've pegged that down. I thought 11.5 probably would have been the line. So 10.5, 100% I'll take the over. Now, I know we've taken a few of the overs, but we have had a few big sides in the first half of this season preview. So the back end, I think we might be looking down on a few, but the competition's so close, and I feel there is so many teams around that 10 to 13 win mark. So it is going to be margins. But, yeah, I'll be taking the over 10.5 with you, Jev.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch Suns. And we'll reveal something pretty cool here. We're going to be at opening round, Saturday Arvo, Gold Coast Bombers. We are going to be there. I cannot wait to be there. Get around our man, Bailey Humphrey, Jed Walter, Shaq and Kobe, Ethan Reed. I can't wait to see all these guys. So I've never been to Gold Coast to watch the Suns. We're going to go there for the first time. I can't wait, bro.
Can the Suns almost become the new Vegas, as in if a team plays Gold Coast, so they get their ass kicked, they're that upset that they go out, have a good night on the Gold Coast, then the next week they've got the Gold Coast flu.
Yeah.
And then we just bet against teams that get their ass kicked against Gold Coast. So they're almost going on a 2-game losing streak.
So the Detroit Lions in the NFL this year, they would beat you and then they'd kick your ass and you wouldn't win the next week as well. Like, they were so physical. Can that be the Suns this year? If you play the Suns at home, you get your ass kicked. You also lose the next week because they've kicked your ass. You've gone out on a little Gold Coast Burley Pav sort of number, and you've got the flu for the week. Nah, I love the theory. I can't wait to track the theory after about 4 or 5 weeks and see if it's working. Good podcast, bit of a shorter one, 35 minutes, but yeah, up the Suns.
No, yeah.
Hey.
The Lovers Multi.
Oh, I forgot about the multi. Yeah,
we've got to give out a Lovers Multi for our Suns fans.
All right, we're starting with over 10.5.
Yep.
Over 10.5 is my favourite leg. Over 10.5, what have you got?
I want Noah Anderson in there for All Australian. That's at $5. I think if they're anywhere near top 8, he has the best season. I think he'll be up there for the Brownlow. $5 I feel has to be in there. And
then Shaq and Kobe to combine for 50 goals.
I think that's good. So
Shaq and Kobe 50 goals. Let's say Jed's kicking around 35 to 40. Bailey Humphrey's easily kicking 15 plus. Shaq and Kobe to combine for 50 goals. Noah Anderson All Australian. Gold Coast over 10.5. I love that bet. Love it.
Yeah,
so I'm all in with you, Das. All in with you. Let's go. That's 36 minutes on the Suns. Let's go.
Come on, the Suns.
Up the Suns.
We are.
What are you prepared to lose today? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.